You are at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $10 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Arterhauser, who says, rant about your predictions for the 2020s. How will we progress technology in the coming decade? What will become of social media culture? Will SJW culture get more extreme? Will World War III happen? What will your personal life be like? Since I know you guys are planning to start a family soon, I want any predictions you may have. Well, it's hard for me to look too far into the future because I don't really know the speed at which technology is currently progressing. There's lots of stuff that, I've heard is supposed to come out in the next 5 to 10 years, but I don't know if it will or what effect it'll really have on culture when it does. When it comes to a lot of tech, you have to wonder about how available will this be? Will this still be in prototype phases? Will this be commercially available? How much will it cost? Things like that are always going to affect how things change, I think there were various points during the 2010s where people would have really thought like VR gaming was going to just take over and be the next huge hit. But thanks to things like, not being commonly available, not everybody who even tries it having a good time with it, and the lack of like software that's truly driven people to the platform, it hasn't taken off yet. It's still been this like kind of bubbling in the background niche thing that maybe could still have a chance at taking over, but it depends on how things continue to evolve. So it's hard for me to talk too much about tech. I do think, though, the biggest thing I wanted to comment on is more internet culture and where I think that's going to go, because people are more predictable than their technology. And I would say that, to answer your question about if SJW culture is going to get even more extreme, I don't know if it can get even more extreme than it currently is without reaching a point where it's. I think we're already at a breaking point where a lot of people who want to be SJWs, who like want to fall in with that clique, it's so rigid at this point. Like what the expectations of are of you as a human being, that people are now falling out of it. People are getting in and coming out because of the fact that they see that things get. Things can only get so. You can only mind police people so far, basically, before you've got more people under the gun than behind it, But where do I think this is going to lead to? Like, we're seeing this mass sort of this mass, not exodus, but like people getting kicked off of platforms all the time, right? We've got tons of people constantly getting banned off Twitter, YouTube. And not just for reasons that have to do with their opinions, but just the platforms, the way that they're changing, the way that they're evolving. I think the biggest thing we're going to see happen in the next few years is a mass exodus from the mainstream internet. I think that there's going to be a setting up of what I'm going to call the alternate, an alternate internet, and there's going to be more and more people exploring like stuff like non-HTTP based websites. There's going to be people exploring way more peer-to-peer stuff. I think peer-to-peer is going to make a huge comeback and become the next sort of big wave leading into like crypto and blockchain based stuff becoming more important, because like the thing about these things is that they're already here. They're already more useful than what we have. And, the more people's internet connections keep getting better, the more reliable peer-to-peer is, the more, people have to get kicked off of the mainstream internet, the more people are going to go to the alternate, So I think that we're going to see that. It's mostly going to be people finding ways to create decentralized, hubs of communication and of artwork, and people are going to rely less and less on YouTube, on those kinds of places. I think in turn, there will be way fewer internet content creators in the coming decades because it will stop being so easily viable. I think that, the systems of sites like YouTube that have created tons and tons of creators, it's because it's so easy. It's so easy to set up on YouTube. It's so easy to get put in the path of all the things that naturally come to people who are trying to make internet content creation a job. And it's not that I'm saying like it's so easy to do, anybody can do it. Obviously that's not the case, but a lot of the people who can do it maybe shouldn't be able to, or wouldn't be able to under different circumstances, maybe even including myself for all I know. But I see myself in the next few years really trying to make a leap away from these platforms, really trying to expand what I do with my content to justify making that kind of leap. Really like trying to show people that there are other ways than the ways that we've been doing it over the last decade, and that we need to shake things up if we really want to be original, if we really want to, be self-sustaining, even when the systems that are holding us up fall out. You know, um, so I think that that kind of push towards like self sustenance might be a big thing over the coming decade. This idea of more and more people wanting to sort of homestead and have their own their own way of life that's not dependent on the systems at large. Will World War III happen? I don't know. I mean, define World War III. It's already happening. Like, we're already in shadow proxy wars around the world. There's already all the world's powers are involved in like every conflict that goes on. So I don't see how we're not already in World War III. We're just in the modern version of a world war. I think Edward Snowden said something like that before already. So, I'm taking his word for it. Starting a family, that'll probably happen before too many years into the decade. We're don't want to wait too long. Don't want to get too old before having kids. Um, so I mean, I have no idea what it's gonna be like. There's no way to predict something like that. How will it shake up my life? I can't even speak on the subject as of yet. So yeah, I guess those are my predictions. It's gonna be a decade of. I think there will be some very interesting new technologies that will reshape our world. I don't know if there will be anything as crazy as like mobile phones were, or the internet itself, but like there will definitely be some progress in technology. There will be new kinds of things that you can do, new ways of expression, new places to express yourself. I'm excited. I hope it'll be a good decade. I'm sure things will get worse before they get better, but that's the way they tend to go.